So I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to go with Chief McGovern tonight. Chief, would you please lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag
of the United States of America,
for which it stands,
the republic,
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
free and just.
indivisible, with liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence, please. Thank you. In accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, public meetings may be held in person or by means of communication equipment to include streaming services and other online meeting platforms. Due to the COVID-19 situation, the Borough of Fairhaven's municipal facilities are closed to the public. This meeting is being presented through the Zoom meeting platform and being broadcast from Borough Hall, 740 River Road, Fairhaven, New Jersey. Public participation for this council meeting of March 8th, 2021 is available by call-in phone number or through web conference Zoom. Members of the public will be on mute until public question comment time, which will be announced. At that time, the public has the opportunity to question or comment by phone or through the Zoom raise the hand button and will be called on at the appropriate time. Notice of this meeting was included in the scheduled meetings, which was adopted by resolution number 2021-13, sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Tuver Times, the Hub, and the Star Ledger on January 7th, 2021, posted on the Borough website, the bulletin board in the municipal building, and has been continuously posted as required under the statute. With adequate notice having been given, the Borough Clerk is directed to include this statement in the minutes of this meeting. Allison, roll call, please.
Council members Banahan,
You're on mute, Jim.
Please mute. We can see you though.
I see him. Commissioner Keefe,
I'm here.
Koch,
Here.
McHugh,
Here.
Neff,
Here.
Rodriguez.
Present.
And Rich Cardella's here, the chief, and Attorney Cannon.
Thank you very much. Okay, I have 3 proclamations to get through, and I thank everyone for joining us this evening. Just bear with me as we go. Proclamation, Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, March 2021. Whereas Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month is an opportunity to promote respect for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and increase awareness of the daily obstacles that the individual and their family faces. And whereas people with intellectual and developmental disabilities are of all racial, ethnic, educational, social, and economic backgrounds, and are all valued members of society who find fulfillment living everyday lives. And whereas we value what is important to people with disabilities and their families who are striving for everyday lives no different than that of all other citizens. And whereas the month of March is a chance to provide understanding, encouragement, and opportunities to help persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities lead productive and fulfilling lives. And whereas early intervention, education, employment, vital to enabling citizens with developmental disabilities to enjoy the rights of citizenship and to participate in the life in our community. Whereas the theme for 2021 is advocacy anytime, anywhere. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Borough of Fairhaven recognizes the many accomplishments and contributions of people with intellectual or developmental disabilities, and hereby proclaim March 2021 as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, and encourages all citizens to support those with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families in all aspects of life. And I'd like to thank ARC for bringing that to my attention. Next up is Proclamation, Education and Sharing Day, March 24th, 2021. Whereas excellence in education is vital to the success of our borough as we seek to instill each child and adolescent with good education. And whereas by preparing our students for the responsibilities and opportunities of the future, educational developments with the intellect through lessons of literacy, math, and science. And whereas Rabbi Menachem Shearson, or the Rebbe, dedicated his life to the betterment of mankind and tirelessly advocated for better education for all Americans. And whereas the Rebbe felt that and taught that education should not be limited to the acquisition of knowledge, and preparation of a career, but also on character building with emphasis on the universal moral, ethical values that are the basis of any peaceful, civilized society. And whereas the United States Congress established Education and Sharing Day USA and an annual national day to commemorate the Rebbe's achievements and acknowledge the lessons and the vision he set forth are relevant to us today. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Benjamin Lucarelli, Mayor of the Borough of Fairhaven, do proclaim March 24th as Education and Sharing Day in Fairhaven and call upon all educators, volunteers, and citizens to reach out to young people and to work to. And we have
I lost.
it's affected us locally. Proclamation recognizing Toxic Shock Syndrome Awareness Day, March 30th, 2021. Whereas the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Fairhaven solemnly note the important occasion of Toxic Shock Awareness Day on March 30th, 2021. In loving memory of Maddie Masabni, an admired young resident of the Borough of Rumson, Monmouth County, who tragically passed away from this disease in 2017, just 3 days after her 19th birthday. And whereas Maddie Masabni, a healthy and vibrant college freshman, was home celebrating her 19th birthday when she began not feeling well, and within a day passed away, leaving family and friends devastated. And whereas toxic shock syndrome, or TSS, is a quietly lethal and prevalent complication of certain types of bacterial infections, and it has been determined that there is a correlation with super absorbency tampons and TSS. And whereas the family of Maddie Masabni has created Don't Shock Me, the Maddie Masabni Foundation for Toxic Shock Awareness, a nonprofit foundation dedicated to heightening public knowledge of TSS by speaking to and educating young women at colleges and high schools about its symptoms and the risks associated with tampon use. And whereas the foundation's efforts have resulted in the introduction of a bill called Madeline's Law, which would require the State Commissioner of Health to establish a TSS public awareness campaign, including mandatory education in all health places in grades 5 and above, and the display of information with warning signs of TSS in public restrooms. And whereas often misdiagnosed TSS can affect women within days of tampon use, but if caught early can be treated with antibiotics. And whereas the vitality of our health care, effectiveness of our American society depend on great measure on concerned organization exemplified by Don't Shock Me, the Maddie Masabni Foundation for Toxic Shock Awareness, that are devoted to the health and well-being of its citizenry. Now, therefore, be proclaimed by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Fairhaven, hereby recognizes Toxic Shock Awareness Day on March 30th, 2021, and remembers Maddie Masabni, whose tragic passing has resulted in efforts to raise awareness of TSS and urges an increased understanding and the signs and symptoms of the disease. Thank you. Next, we have the workshop session. We have a request from the Knights of Columbus to post a few lawn signs advertising their March 15th blood drive coming up in 7 days. Anybody have any questions about this? Are we all in favor?
I just want to mention I support it. Thank you.
Okay, we support it. And I think blood drives, especially with COVID, we thank all those who come out, but blood is in very short supply in our hospitals. So we encourage all to attend who can. So I have a motion. Chris Rodriguez, buddy. So moved. There we go. All in favor? I have an aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. All right, next we have the Girl Scouts. I don't know if we have any Girl Scouts who are attendees. If so, use the raise your hand. Trace will promote you. But
We have Elisa and
a couple
and
weeks ago, I received a need.
Hello, I'm here from Girl Scouts.
We have Elisa. Good evening, Elisa.
Good evening, Mayor Lucarelli.
Wonderful. So a couple of weeks ago, I got an email, and I think this is a very exciting project. Anytime we can plant trees, considering we spend a lot of time taking them down this borough, I think that's a good thing. Provided that they're planted in the appropriate spots and not underneath power lines, I think we're all the better. So Elisa, would you like to just talk about the program? And we also have Councilwoman Neff is also working on this with you. Take it away.
Yes. Okay. Well, the idea did come from an email you sent out, or something was posted, and it finally got to us. And after Laylene, myself, and I believe people from the natural area, a bunch of us planning, the final project would be purchasing 7 trees, as 7 troops currently are interested. And that would be hopefully each troop purchasing their own. Blue spruce and oak would be good for the Ridge Road area. That was already relayed to me, and I'm sure Laylene will talk about that. And I'm handling the Girl Scout troop side, and also reached out to the superintendent to see if there's any areas located at Knollwood or any of the schools. And I also mentioned if he'd like to reach out to the District of Rumson, maybe on Arbor Day, we could pull our students, Girl Scouts together through Rumson and Fairhaven to do a mutual planting somewhere. But that's where we're at. 7 trees, 5 to 6 feet high. And we like to plant them in meaningful places throughout the neighborhood, and trees that will last. So hopefully one day the Girl Scouts can show their children, grown-up Girl Scouts, show their children what they did in the town. I think it'll help promote a sense of community, and the community is always so supportive of Girl Scouts. So, and Laylene she's the best of both worlds. So she's trying to bring it all together.
Gotcha.
If I may just add a few comments, I think this is an incredibly exciting project. It's part of the Girl Scout Tree Promise, in which the Girl Scouts are trying to plant 5 million trees over the next 5 years. So, we would be working at the local level to support that project. I have spoken with people from the council, the borough, and others. Initially, we thought we could plant some trees in some of the parks, but for a number of logistical reasons and maintenance reasons, we decided that we have been advised, kindly advised by those who are helping us, that the natural fields area would be really the best place to plant those trees, unless the schools will be interested in a few of them. So we are coordinating now with Natural Fields to do a walk there and to figure out the best location for the trees to go. And also the reason we initially were advised that, to look at trees like oaks or blue spruce is because they're long living. And that will give a chance for the girls to come many years, later and see the tree there again. So it's a really exciting project. I hope the council will support that.
I think so. Sounds exciting. Okay, thank you, Laylene. And thank you, Elise. And best of luck to you girls. And I hope it's a very good learning experience for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Um,
Fantastic project.
Great. All right, next up, we have public comments on agenda items. May I have a motion open?
So moved.
Mary, do you want to do a motion?
Oh,
Bob Marchese has his hand up. I'm going to recognize him.
Oh, yes. Good evening, Robert.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to thank the mayor and council and Teresa and Allison for supporting the resolution on toxic shock syndrome awareness. In full disclosure, it's a pro bono client of mine, and very important topic, something that's preventable, and it ties in well with, I know the members of the council are always concerned, appropriately so, with regards to educational things, and certainly this falls under that umbrella. So once again, on the behalf of the foundation and Dawn Massimi, Maddie's mom, thank you very much for passing this resolution and acknowledging it. It's very much appreciated. I miss you guys.
You too, Bob. Thank you. For those who don't know, Bob was a former councilman for a number of years with us and did a lot of wonderful things. All right, public comments on agenda items, motion open.
So moved.
Okay,
I've got Jordan Robinson.
all right. Let's go with Jordan.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council and members of the public. My name is Jordan Grace Robinson. I'm proud to serve as the newly appointed Don't Shock Me Maddie Masabni Foundation for Toxic Shock Awareness as their PR chair. On behalf of the foundation and myself, I'd like to read the following. With John and George's co-leadership and tireless dedication to honoring their beloved Maddie, and helping save lives throughout the world, we are extremely proud of the legislative accomplishments made and the progress of putting together a comprehensive federal bill that will encompass all of the New Jersey bill and more. Most recently, John is briefing resident medical students on rotation and is virtually attending the World Gynecological 2021 conference to discuss menstrual toxic shock. We are confident she will make a tremendous impact. Maddie's spirit will be by her side each step of the way. Your recognition of the state and county proclamations show your support of Don't Shock Me, Maddie Masabni Foundation for Toxic Shock Awareness, which, just like Maddie, is the only one of its kind. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you. Like the dissipated stigma surrounding mental health, our goal is to do the same for menstrual toxic shock syndrome. Together, we are educating teenage girls and women about the preventative measures they should implement into their lives to prevent a potential tragedy. We'd like to ask if your council could consider adding the foundation's official MTSS preventative pamphlet onto your borough's website homepage and Facebook page with a spotlight on Madeline's life before her tragic passing. Thank you, sincerely, board members of the Don't Shock Me, Maddie Masabni Foundation for Toxic Shock Awareness. And I'm not sure how I'm doing on time, but if it's okay, I'd like to also take a moment just to educate public listeners. Is that okay?
Yes.
Please
Okay.
proceed, Jordan.
I'd like to reference an excellent article written by Jean Wall, editor of Tap Into Middletown, which features an article with Don Masabni. To paraphrase Don's words, John's beloved Maddie died in March of 2017 after using Playtex sports tampons. To directly quote, we need to all get beyond the stigma and talk about women's health. We need a public service announcement campaign warning our girls about the symptoms of something that can occur when they use a tampon, something that can kill them if they don't seek immediate treatment. Unbelievably, there is a report from the Detroit Free Press dated March 2nd, 2016, a year before Maddie died, that has the headline, five confirmed toxic shock cases in Michigan. In that report, 4 out of 5 TSS cases were women using Playtex sport tampons. There's a misconception that toxic shock only occurs from a tampon that has been left in for too long. That is just not the case. There are cases of young girls using a tampon for the first time and after a couple hours developing toxic shock. The exterior of the boxes and the inside flap of the box should have easy to read warnings and symptoms in large, bold print. And right now, there is a small insert with impossible to read small print directing you to a website. There also needs to be warnings on all tampon advertisements, just like cigarettes. Also, in public restrooms, there should be warnings on all tampon vending machines. In closing, I'm honored to know Dawn and to have had the fortune of being acquainted with her daughter. It's truly an honor to help her change women's health legislation, along with striving to have Madeline's Law passed, as well as other imperative legislative work. We're in the midst of relaunching don'tshockme.org, premiering a documentary about Maddie's life, and planning a beautiful spring fashion show fundraiser in honor of Maddie, scheduled for mid-May of this year. Details will formally be announced soon. Thank you so much for your time and have a good night.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you very much.
Elisa has her hand up again. Elisa, did you want to speak again?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure how that happened, but
Okay, no problem.
thank you.
All right.
I see no other hands,
Anybody
Mayor.
else? All right, motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, thank you very much. Approval minutes, February 22nd, 2021, regular meeting, motion to offer.
So moved.
Second,
Allison, roll call, please.
Members Kristner Keefe,
Yes.
Koch,
Yes.
McHugh,
Yes.
Neff,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
yes.
All right, thank you. Old business, hearing adoption of ordinance number 2021-1, amend affordable housing ordinance number 2020-05. May I have a motion to open discussion?
Moved.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Okay, would anybody like to discuss this? Anybody like to be heard? Any member of the public?
The planning board did respond to,
Okay,
Mayor, I was just going to comment that I'm looking at a memo from the planning board attorney to the borough clerk,
Mhm.
basically stating that they have no concerns and that we can proceed. Is that Councilwoman Koch? I'm guessing the planning board discussed this.
Yes.
Great.
And everybody was in favor of it. And Doug Kovats crafted the response.
Great.
we're all
Thank
set
you.
there.
And they even had the borough's planner take them through it. Susan Gruhl was part of the discussion, but the changes were minimal.
Mhm. Understood. Thank you.
All right, very good. Seeing nothing else, may I have a motion to close discussion?
So moved.
second.
May I have a second?
Oh, I said second.
Gotcha.
Second.
Whoop.
Thank you. May I have a motion to offer, please?
Motion,
Betsy,
Second.
motion to offer?
got it.
Okay, great. Allison, roll call, please.
Council members Banahan,
Yes.
Kristner Keefe,
Yes.
Koch,
Yes.
yes, she said yes.
I got her, McHugh,
Yes.
Neff,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Did I hold before I say yes, just for fun? Zoom seems to be a little glitchy today. Yes, of course.
Everything's glitchy with computers today. All right, ordinance number 2021-4, amend the salary ordinance, motion to open.
Motion,
May I have a second, please?
Second.
I
Second.
have a second, wonderful. Would anybody like to be heard about the, our amendments to the salary ordinance?
I have some questions, Mayor.
Yes,
Or
Councilman
maybe a
McKee.
suggestion, rather. Looking at the hourly ranges and trying to keep things equitable,
Mhm.
I think that we should make the police records clerk equitable to the zoning board, planning board secretaries in that price range.
Mhm.
As of right now, it says 12 to 20. Planning, zoning, receptionist, secretary are in the 15 to 30.
All right, can we amend this on the fly, or we would have to bring it back and reintroduce it? Mr. Cannon,
I mean, changing one of the salaries is a material change. You'd have to reintroduce it.
have to reintroduce it.
Just a point of clarification. I think this is simply amending our ordinance that reflects the ranges. It would not be specifically amending any specific employee's compensation.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and Mr. Cannon, that would require us to come back again for a second hearing?
Yeah, I mean, in that regard, I would just suggest you adopt this one and then you could always revise it again, which would take the same exact amount of time.
And you
Understood.
also have to, you would have to amend the salary resolution that you adopted at the last meeting.
Mhm.
Okay. Councilman McHugh, are there any other ranges that you believe would also require adjustment to be equitable to these positions?
Um,
Or in your estimate, I'm asking for your opinion.
yeah, thank you, Councilwoman. I think these are updated. Everything else looked good except for the one police records clerk. So no, that's it.
Okay. So we'd like to proceed with this, then we'll come back and reboot and make that change
That sounds good.
another date.
Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
terrific. And Gregory, please make note of that. Just a little more work. All right.
Thanks, Greg.
Terrific. With that said, may I have a motion to close discussion,
Motion.
Second,
please? Motion to close.
We have a motion
Second.
and a
Allison,
second.
roll call, please.
Council members Banahan,
Now, my internet connection.
Krishna Keefe,
Yes.
Koch,
yes.
McHugh,
Yes.
Neff,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna just tune the computer. Hopefully that'll stabilize my connection. Hopefully you can hear me a little bit better. All right. Thank you all for that. Next up, we have new business council committee reports. Finance, Councilman Banahan.
Fairhaven's financial operations continue to prove exemplary stewardship. Despite the unforeseen legal and miscellaneous expenses, our reserves remain at very healthy levels. And tonight we have just two minor items on. We have an emergency appropriation to move some items from the 2020 budget to the 2021, and a very small, really nominal transfer between the health benefits account and the general liability account. And despite some of the fears, our tax collections remain absolutely strong. We're actually 5 basis points ahead of where we were in 2018 to 2019. And I think all those fears were unfounded. And we continue to look strong on collections as we have historically. So nothing but good news.
Excellent. Thank you very much, James.
Sure.
Personnel, Councilwoman Krishna Keefe.
I have no updates today as it relates to personnel.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Planning and zoning, Councilwoman Koch.
The zoning board met last Thursday and there were 3 applications on the agenda. 2 have been carried forward. Also at that meeting, there's starting to be a backlog of cases for the zoning board. So Todd, leader, the chairman, suggested we may have to add a couple of extra meetings to get caught up with our backlog. But before we can do that, we've got to find some Zoom time. The planning board's going to meet this Tuesday. The agenda is not set yet, but I do believe, and Teresa, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, the facilities plan is going to be presented to the planning board. Is that correct?
Yes, and tomorrow, I didn't want to mix it with the meeting emails. Eli Goldstein sent a copy of the plans that will go to the planning board members tomorrow. I sent an advance copy to Rich Gardella and Todd Leader today. I'll send it to the governing body tomorrow and I'll have it posted on the website tomorrow for the public.
Great. I would also like to take a minute and thank Judy Fuller for all her hard work, for stepping in and doing a great job after Jen Johnson moved on to her other job. And so I'd like to thank her for helping us out, and also to welcome Sandra Papa, who will be taking over this week, and moving forward, she will be the planning board secretary. For recreation, the spring camp registration is underway. All information is available on the recreation site. Voting for the talent show is now underway, and you can find all the information for that on the Borough Facebook page. You'll also see, if you have a copy on tonight's consent agenda, hopefully we will be approving shared services with the Board of Ed for the installation of the turf area in McCarter Park. And lastly, for communications, the borough has implemented a program to help our seniors who are having difficulty signing up for vaccination registration. And I spoke to Betty Ann today and Teresa, and that program seems to be working pretty well. We've helped out a few seniors, so that's showing itself to be successful. So that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Betsy. Police, fire, and OEM, Councilman McHugh.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick update on the numbers. Our numbers continue to go down. As they stay on for a month until they're taken off, it's slow, but things are looking good. We're at 51 active cases. And that's it for police, fire, OEM. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Engineering, DPW, and Borough Facilities, Councilman Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mayor. Couple of quickies. Facilities, we had a meeting last week, as we do every other week. We had the green team, members of the green team join us. They had made a bunch of contributions and gave us some ideas and also feedback on both the police department and the DPW site plan, as well as ideas about making these plans more efficient and more sustainable and more friendly to the environment. So thank you for that. We'll continue that dialogue, and they have committed to supporting, finding ways, both with ideas, but also potentially grant money. And so we'll work closely with them going forward. As far as the next steps for that, I believe the idea is to have this capital review done by the planning board in March. It's unclear, maybe somebody around the horn here knows that has been set, but I believe March 16th is the next date. I'm getting head nods, so that's all good. Thank you. Where the public will be able to take a look at a sneak peek of the site plan and preliminary designs before they go more final, which would be what a lot of the public has desired, is to take a look at them before they're too baked, so that they can provide feedback. As far as DPW and other engineering projects, no other updates other than the brush committee met last week as well. And it might have been our last meeting, at least on Zoom. We will likely be working on a memo that'll have recommendations. I won't preview that here. Just know that that's coming either at the next meeting or the meeting after.
Sure.
And that is all.
Thank you very much, Council President. Consent agenda, resolutions 2021-79 through 2021-87.
Mayor, we're going to table 2021-85. Colleen Lapp, our CFO, wants to have the money from the Fairhaven Board of Education in place so she can set it up in an account before she certifies the funds. We should have, they're going to cut a check off their 317 meeting, so we should be able to approve that on 322.
Did
Wonderful.
you say that was 84?
85.
85. 85 is awarding the contract. We're going to approve the shared service agreement tonight, and then they're going to cut us the check on the 17th, and then we can approve the contract to Garden Mark on 322, Chris.
Okay, so it'll be 2021-79 through 87, omitting 85, which will come at our next meeting. May I have a motion to offer?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Spanahan.
Make a motion for discussion.
Oh, excuse me.
That's okay.
I forgot discussion. Yes, what would you like to discuss?
I'd just like an opportunity to discuss 2021-86.
Yes.
I've had a couple of inquiries from members of the public, specifically related to the resolution, which refers to exhibits that were not available on the borough website for whatever reason. Maybe they were still being finalized. I do, note that this is kind of there's a little bit of a paper trail here, because there were two proposals from the Goldstein Partnership, one of which was I'm guessing I see an original proposal date of October 2020 with a revised date of January 20th, 2021. That's specifically related to the police department. And then there was a second proposal related to the DPW Public Works building, which is dated February 5th. I just wanted to make clear, because a lot of the questions were about the numbers, the financials. So I just wanted to kind of put on the record for the benefit of the public that the architect proposal for the Public Works building is $192,580 plus a $10,000 reimbursable expenses. I guess it's more of a kind of, allocation. It may, or, depending on what their expenses are, up to that amount. And then the PD proposal was for $291,400 for fees plus $11,000 in expected expenses. And so both of those documents are also incorporated and referenced and a part of the AIA standard form agreement. And if I understand correctly, Mr. Cannon, correct me, the AIA agreement is a required document between a property owner and an architect.
It's not required, but it's certainly a good idea. It's standard practice.
Okay, my understanding is you've had an opportunity to review that and, adjust any terms as legally necessary.
Yes, Mr. Goldstein provided it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. Mr. Goldstein provided me with with the AA draft, because he's the architect and he pays for the licensing for that software for the contract. And then I incorporated the rest of it. So most of the places you see typed in, that was actually me writing it and referring back to these proposals. And then just one, I'm not sure if you included this in your number, but 29 of the police building contract, we're getting a credit for the 47,000 that was previously billed under paragraph 29. I'm not sure if you netted that off your total amount, but that was for services rendered prior to 1/1/21, because we already paid, and I'll let Teresa jump in because I wasn't here at that point if she was incorrect, but my understanding is that was paid before and that'll be credited against the balance of that contract.
As part of his proposals, anything that were covered in those proposals that if we had already either paid him for or we have a outstanding invoice for will be included in that total. So we will not exceed the total for the work that was in the scope of work.
Right. Also, there was also one further revision from the proposals that have been circulated publicly and what have you. And actually, Teresa caught this, was that their subcontractor, Lair, actually had a 10% markup on their reimbursables. And Teresa caught that, and then we removed that. That was the last actual thing that we changed. So we get billed just that cost.
Excellent.
So kudos to Teresa for that.
Okay. And these documents, several pages long, numerous paragraphs, and they seem to set forth a scope of work to address the architectural, my understanding is the architectural needs to develop these two projects. And maybe Councilman Rodriguez, you may have some more inner working insight into these as a member of the Facilities Committee.
Do you have a question on them?
No, I don't have a question on them. But like I said, there were some inquiries to me specifically from the public, and I wanted to make sure that it was clear what these documents were, the amounts, and what the intention of them are. It's, again, the proposals that are incorporated into a contract and referenced throughout those three documents for the Facilities Committee, I guess, to conduct this work with the architects at the Goldstein Partnership.
Yeah, so we had all of the members of the committee review them that are familiar and professionals in this domain. And they appear to be in order, as did our borough attorney, Greg Cannon. Thank you for that as well. I am not an expert. I will not opine necessarily on this. My job is to conduct meetings and make sure that we take in public input. So I don't want to give anybody my opinion on these legal documents because I think that would be out of order in my case, but I am comfortable that the right people have looked at it and that these are normal course.
Excellent.
I have a
Thank
quick, Meg, sorry, Councilwoman Keefe.
Sorry.
You brought up the talking about documents that should be attached, and I was unaware, maybe I'm missing something, but like paragraph 5.7, page 15, it says it's
You have
about
this
sustainability objective in Article 1. This basically says that the owner shall fulfill it. It's talking about sustainability, and this is something that Councilwoman Neff and I are looking into with the green team, and it says sustainability projects exhibit attached to this agreement. Am I missing that attachment to the agreement? Because I don't see.
Are you
There are none listed in the agreement, Councilman, if I can help you out.
Right.
So that refers in architect world, and there's probably architects on this meeting that will cringe at the lawyer trying to explain it, but like, so for example, you're gonna be LEED certified or some sort of, like, the whole building had to be built to a certain standard, which can substantially increase the cost. Then that would be included in there because it would be a prerequisite of the professional's experience and knowledge applying that to the project to bring you up to that certification. So you haven't actually charged the architect with doing that, but that doesn't mean that you can't incorporate it. We're going into the design phase now. Doesn't mean you can't incorporate green infrastructure or sustainable objectives into the project, but that means that you haven't charged them at the outset with using their professional expertise. Or so, for example, that architect might go get a subspecialist architect in LEED certified HVAC or something like that, which isn't typical on a public project, to be honest. It's usually used in a more private context to obtain tax credits and things like that related to those sort of certifications. So that's why that's absent from there, but I don't want that. I had a feeling that might come up tonight. So I wanted to be clear that that doesn't mean the building can't be green or be sustainable or energy efficient, but it means that you haven't held the architect at the beginning to any particular standard and using their expertise and their firm to create that for you. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that was a great explanation. And yeah, I understand we're not looking for like LEED certified or something like that, but you brought up an example, say like on HVAC or heating efficiency. So even if we're meeting the bare minimum of the, pretty high standard here in New Jersey on green efficiency and so on and so forth with that, I was just wondering basically to read the article or the attachments to kind of do some homework for the green team and try to coordinate our efforts. So if we are reaching, I don't know, an R value, a good R value, whatever is suggested for architects that would be somewhat sustainable, if I can take that, the low hanging fruit, what we're doing anyway, and then just incorporate that into our green team stuff for our certifications. I was just looking for that.
I bet you, Councilman, Eli can supply some examples of specifically that Maplewood building that had all of those green objectives in it. You could probably, well, actually, we could probably source that ourselves, actually, because it's all public record, I'd imagine, in Maplewood. Just for those who don't know, some of the more sustainable buildings that have been built in the state of New Jersey were built by Eli, and they're held out as examples. Eli Goldstein, sorry, who's our professional, and his examples are on the Sustainable Jersey website as premier examples. So we have an architect who not only knows what he's talking about, but can prove it through projects that he's completed. So we could probably either source it ourselves or ask him for documentation around that as an example of things that you can bring back to the green team for review.
Yeah, I think there are members of the green team that will be very much willing to do the legwork for a number of these issues. And I think we're ready to organize into different branches to help pursue that, Councilman Rodriguez. So it's really great that we have an architect that already has that knowledge, and hopefully we can sort of maximize that to try to be as sustainable as possible as we do construction, even if we're not pursuing like a lead certification.
He also left open the option in his proposal on, it's like on page, so, well, let me just pull it up. 12, it's like 4.11. He put the option of multiple bid packages and alternatives into his proposal as well, which led me to believe that there would be some sort of collaborative process where then he landed on a number of options where we were unsure of the cost. So I would imagine green was in there. Well, that was my take from why he left it open that way. That there was
True.
prior discussions that I actually didn't even know about with the committee perhaps or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was nice of him to put that in there. All right. Yeah, things are
Discussion on the
good.
contracts? Are we satisfied?
Mhm.
All right, wonderful. All right, so we're back to it. Consent agenda resolutions 2021-79 through 2021-87, omitting 2021-85. May I have a motion offer?
We had, Councilman Rodriguez did, Councilwoman Koch second. Now
Yes, we did. Okay, thank you. Any other further discussion?
I
Seeing
see
none?
a hand. I don't know if you want to go to the public.
This is not the public time. You can say it later. May I have a roll call, please?
Council members Banahan,
Yes.
Commissioner Keefe,
Yes.
Koch,
Yes,
Hugh,
Yes.
Neff,
Yes,
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Okay, department reports, 2020 year-end tax collector, February 2021 municipal clerk, dog license tax collector, and the budget status. Motion to accept is submitted.
so moved.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none? Okay. Go to the borough, motion open.
Motion.
Okay,
Second.
thank you.
We have
Uh,
first up House Lady 7. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
So bottom line, can Allison attach the missing exhibit A to the agenda so that people who want it can have it?
You can make a request. It's already been voted on. You can reach out to me or stop by Borough Hall.
But it won't be a matter of record, other than in your files, but it won't be a public matter of record like the agenda is.
Well, it will be in the minutes. It will be attached to the
Okay.
resolution.
Okay. The other thing being, as far as the salary grades go, I think the upper end of our administration is well paid and does not need any increase for the size of our town and the number of our population. It's a tad expensive. You've got to think of the people who live on Social Security and can't keep feeding into this budget.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you. Emma Cole.
Go ahead, Emma, just unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Tracy Cole on Emma's computer. Hi, guys.
Head fake.
Yeah, sorry. I had a question, and actually, I could back Ruth up a little bit here and say it would have been nice to see the exhibits in the packet. I look at the packet and the agenda when it comes out, and I wasn't able to review the exhibits, and I would have liked to. I think as a taxpayer, that seems like a reasonable thing to be able to see. And so like Ruth, I would also say, moving forward, can you include exhibits, especially those that refer to contracts, scope of work and contract totals, even if you don't want to break it out? Something for you to think about, but I'd like you to consider it seriously. Given the public's right to know, be useful to have that information prior to the meeting. My question had to do with the scope. Again, I haven't been able to review it. I'm aware of Eli Goldstein's credentials and see, of course, he's very well regarded. So I'm wondering if the scope of work in the contract that was just adopted, does that take us up to construction? Does it include construction documents up to construction? Or will we also be doing construction supervision during this, in this contract?
This is inclusive of the construction all the way to closeout.
Great. And that, so it's a little over 550,000-ish. And does that, and that's for both DPW?
Yes, you would combine them, yes.
and PD? Thank you. Thank you. That answers my questions.
Welcome. Have a good evening. Seeing no one else, motion to close. Oh, you know what we would like to say is, excuse me, Chris. Teresa, you're on the call Friday. I think we're coming out with the announcement today. Declan O'Scanlan, Senators Declan O'Scanlan and Assemblywoman Serena Damaso has been working very closely with the VNA. Fairhaven's own Chris Rinn is the president of the VNA, and they will be rolling out, and we're compiling a list of seniors to help assist them get vaccinations. Teresa, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, it was a very productive call. Not only are they utilizing the VNA for portions of it, but they're also partnering with Meridian. The idea from Declan O'Scanlan, Senator O'Scanlan, and Assemblywoman Damaso was that we would coordinate amongst all the towns, so we're all, following the same protocols. We're in the process of putting together the press release for that. And also getting out the link. It's a Google Doc for the registration. The borough has already started pairing residents with volunteers who needed help registering, but we were doing that individually. And now we're going to try to coordinate all that together. They do have additional plans to get mobile units up and running out in the community through the VNA and other methodologies. I know they're working very hard to make sure that we first vaccinate our vulnerable population, our seniors and our people with disabilities, and then work our way down through the population at large. And they're really putting some effort into that. So we're looking forward to working with them and our neighboring towns to all roll this out fairly, equitably, and as fast as we can.
Yes. Thank you, T. Council President Rodriguez, I'll get you a second, Meg.
I just wanted to commend the folks that are in the step challenge who have been racking up hundreds and hundreds of thousands of steps in town. It's good to see people walking to town and taking in the fresh air. And now that we're going to have some 50 and 60-degree weather this week, we're going to see even more walkers. I just want to thank everyone who was involved in setting that up. We still have a couple weeks left, and I'm sure we'll do another one of these to get everybody around. I learned from Kate Rafferty that we get some green credits, I think, towards Sustainable Jersey for running these types of programs in town. So with that, be safe, be smart when you're out there walking. Use a reflective vest or a flashlight or a hat with a light on it. Thank you, Meg. Like some of us do while we're out walking at night, and keep those earphones low so you can hear traffic around you. So with that, I'll yield the rest of my time.
And the only thing I'll add to that is, when you're walking, please walk on the left side of the road so you can make eye contact with either cyclists or riders. So wheels go with wheels and feet go against the traffic, or the other way to remember it is never turn your back on the traffic. And that way we could be all very safe.
Thank you.
Chris, thank you very much. It's a wonderful thing. I'm seeing people all over town walking, and I think it really goes a long way for both our physical and mental health as we endure through the pandemic. Councilwoman Kristen Keith.
I just wanted to say happy International Women's Day, and I am grateful to serve on this governing body with several other women, and thank you for running and serving. And it's particularly poignant that Mayor Lucarelli read the Toxic Shock Syndrome Awareness Day proclamation on International Women's Day. And I think that is an extraordinarily important topic that many, including myself, are not aware about these symptoms and what to look out for. So I just encourage everybody in our community to take note of that syndrome and to learn a bit about it so that we can avoid tragic losses such as Maddie's. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to be heard?
And I see House Lady 7 hand up again. I don't know if Ruth is looking to speak again or that's a mistake. Ruth, are you looking to speak again? If you are, unmute yourself.
I just want to make a comment. I am also impressed with Mr. Goldstein's credentials and things like that. And I'm hoping that in his plans, every inch of that space that can be used by the community is injected into the plans. Any spaces that can have dual use both by the administration and the residents, such as Wi-Fi access and heating, warming and cooling spaces and things like that are incorporated into all the plans where they can be. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. I think that just about ends it. So may I have a motion to close? Go to the borough?
Motion.
Second?
Motion.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be going into executive session and action will not be taken. All right. So council people, please put yourself on mute and stop your video. And all right, we're back here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're back in public session, ladies and gentlemen. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you all. Thanks for joining us. Everyone have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.